to it later. But welcome everyone to the June gathering of New Visions. So for those who are new, I'm Paul Granger. I'm the president of New Visions Civic League. We've also got Sunny on the call. Sunny is treasurer, and Sheena is hoping to join. Sheena is vice president. And yeah, I'm just excited to see everyone because New Visions exists to be neighbors helping neighbors. And so we really want to live into what New Visions has been for the last almost 25 years. No, almost 30 years. Almost 30 years is just a really organic gathering of neighbors who just care about their neighborhood and want all neighbors to thrive. And so, I mentioned that there was some changes to the plan. So one of the plans that we had for today was for Miss Mary Thompson, who helped found New Visions, was president for nearly 25 years. She was going to come and share some of the history of New Visions, which that's still going to happen, but not today. So she wanted me to let y'all know she's doing fine. She's feeling okay, but got a email this morning that she was admitted to the hospital. She had a minor stroke and they're currently doing tests. But I just talked to her about 15 minutes ago, and she sounded just like Mary Thompson. She actually went right into some business. And so she's doing good. But yeah, she wanted y'all to know she's fine. They're doing some tests. They're going to figure out some more things, but she's confident she'll be back to everything she's doing pretty soon. She'll probably be out of in the hospital for a few days. When you go in on the weekend, it takes a little longer because there are not as many staff there. So yeah, she is doing well, and she's not worried, but she wants y'all to know that she's sad that she couldn't share with you today, that she's sad she can't be with you, but she really wants to connect maybe at the next gathering. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll keep y'all informed on that. But yeah, so we won't be hearing from Miss Thompson today, but in a little bit, I'm going to introduce y'all to another guest that we're going to have. So actually, I might just go ahead and do that now, since you're here now. So Deb Lawrence and I connected recently. Some of y'all know the building that's at 22nd and Fairmount, and was at one point just a rundown building. Then it got painted like a dark black for some reason for a while, and then it was painted this beautiful light blue, almost same color as my walls. And one of my first experiences with New Visions, it might have been the first meeting that I was at in like 2009 or 2008. Mary Thompson put me in charge of the committee for finding someone to get into that building because there are a lot of people that wanted to put stores there and things like that. But New Visions really wanted to make sure that whatever went into that building would be a positive thing for the community. And so as some of y'all remember, Richmond Cycling Corps Legacy Academy actually took over that space for a while, and they did really great things for the community, and they've shifted gears. But I was driving by one day and I was like, ReWork Richmond, wait a minute, what's going on? Someone else is in there. So I reached out, got connected with Deb. And so I wanted to have Deb come and just share a little bit, because they're right there in our footprint, but they're doing really important work that's valuable for our neighbors. If we want all of our neighbors to thrive, what ReWork Richmond is doing hits some of those spaces that often get missed. So Deb, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what y'all do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm happy to be here. And we at ReWork Richmond are so excited to be in that space. Just to give you a little bit of history, ReWork is a nonprofit that was founded in 2018, and we opened our doors in February of 2019. And we are a very small but workforce development initiative that is focused solely in the East End and works with underemployed adults who live in the East End, who are still living in poverty but making ends meet because they're working 2 jobs or sometimes 3 jobs. So we were formed actually out of St. Peter's Episcopal Church and St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in the West End. And at that time, I was on staff there as Director of Outreach, and I've been involved in the East End for a little over 20 years with Peter Paul, Anna G. Cooper School, initiatives there. So from my work at St. Stephen's. but we worked with Andrew Terry, who some of you may know is a former priest at St. Peter's Episcopal Church, to try to come up with what was a need. There was some few dollars and some interest at St. Stephen's about initiative that we could form back in 17 and 18 that would meet a need in the community, but listened to the community. So Andrew and I, along with folks at his parish, walked the neighborhood, and we kept hearing jobs, 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 but not just any job, meaningful careers to assist folks. And at the same time, we at St. Stephen's were talking with Reggie Gordon and the Office of Community Wealth Building at the city to figure out what can we do? Is there anything we can do, a need that we can meet with underemployed individuals? And that group, that segment of the population is the least funded group in the country in that workforce space, because everybody's usually focused on unemployed, in crisis, folks like that. So anyway, fast forward to February of 19, we opened our doors. For the past 3 years, we have been located in the basement at St. Peter's Episcopal Church, and we've been working out of their office there, but we outgrew it, and we're looking for a new space. There's only 4 of us on staff, so we're small. And the space at 22nd and Fairmount came to our attention when Cycling Corps kind of changed directions and moved out. And so we are just thrilled to be there. I invite all of y'all anytime to stop by, ring our doorbell, and hopefully we're there most every day working. We get our program participants, whom we call members, from recommending partners in the community. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel or do anything new. We have lots of partners, everybody from Peter Paul, the Market at 25th, Andrea Cooper, Urban Hope, Child Savers, all sorts of folks. We have about 20 partners, RPS, in the community who recommend potential candidates to us. So we are not a walk-in employment center, because what we do is very intensive, and we call it the long walk. We work with our members until they have reached a living wage sustaining career, which means not only are we focused on that career plan for employment for them, but we, with our partners and and resources that we have in the community, we also look at and address the barriers that have kept our individuals from moving forward. That includes transportation. We have a car ministry, childcare. We partner with YWCA Sprout School, St. James's Children's Center, who can provide childcare slots for our members. We work with Urban Hope, Better Housing Coalition, for housing. So we look at all of the barriers that keep folks from moving forward and obtaining a career and keeping it. We have a large employer network in town. Everybody from VCU, Bonza Coors, Dominion Energy, Davis and Green Contractors, Colonial Web, for all of our members. So we kind of are a wrapper. We don't like to use social service terms. You know, we don't have reams of paperwork that people fill out, but we do provide tons of resources to wrap around our members so that the member can focus on staying on that career path and moving forward to that career while making sure that we're staying stable in the transportation, childcare, housing, all those other pieces. We are small by intention. We have to date enrolled 43 members. We're never going to be that organization that touches 100 people, you know, because we're not about just getting any job. We will help folks get jobs along the way to their career, but we go much deeper. So we have enrolled 43 folks, and we have a goal to scale of enrolling 5 new members a quarter. So that's what our scale, that's what our capacity looks like as we move forward. So it's a little bit different take. We also work with education. A lot of times folks and members come to us, and, you know, we've got one member who wants to be an art teacher. She's got some of that education, but she needs some more. We partner with the Community College Workforce Alliance, so we are able to place her in the education and certifications that our members need along the way for that degree that they need or the job that they need. So we are a lot about partnerships, collaborations, but also going much deeper and getting our folks to a living wage career. We use the MIT living wage calculator so that we can determine what actually a living wage looks like for somebody. What are we talking about? And then the other big piece of information that we work with our members on is an aptitude and assessment skill set. So when folks come in and they are enrolled, they take this assessment called U-Science, and our members love it because a lot of times no one's ever asked them, well, what do you want to do? What do you like to do? You know, what do you think you'd be good at? What would fire your rocket when you got up in the morning, you want to go to work and do this every day? And so not only does this assessment give us that information, it also points us where their skill sets lie, and then breaks down that particular job or career for the Richmond market, what education, what certifications are needed to get there along that way, and what does that look like? What's that timeline look like? So we get all these pieces of information. We utilize a lot of volunteers to get our work done. We provide financial coaches for our members. We provide help with resume writing, interview prep, soft skills. We also are blessed with some financial resources to help if there's an emergency situation with a member that they need to take care of something so that they can stay on track with what they with what their career plan looks like. So we are small. We have a couple of employees who work directly on their member side with their members and getting them enrolled and all those pieces. And then we have a staff person who is employer facing and works with our large employer network in town and takes the information they're getting from that member and then begins the conversations with employers in the region about what openings they may have and how we can make a fit there. That's it in a nutshell. I mean, it's there's way more to it. I invite you to visit our website. Please come by. We're just so excited to be in that space. I personally am excited. My father was born at 1309 North 22nd Street, and my family lived at 2219 Fairmount Avenue. A few decades ago, I won't tell you how long because it was my age, but I'm excited to be there, to be doing this work. I was one of the founders at St. Stephen's of ReWork Richmond. We spent a lot of time. We've got a great board. Some of you may know Dr. Ron Carey, Senior. He's the chair of our board. Was longtime educator with RPS. Tori Edmonds is on our board. So folks that live in the community really helped us form this and still, working with us every day. So anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer. But that's it. We are a little bit different from the average workforce program because of the in-depth work that we do and the length of time, that we stay with folks. Because once you're a ReWork member, you're always a ReWork member. So
that's great. I really appreciate everything you've shared. Some of y'all that have been around New Visions for a while may remember Andrew Terry from New Visions meeting. He was pretty involved. And so the fact that there's that connection, just your family connections to the neighborhood. And I really appreciate too, I feel strongly about the importance of collaboration and partnership. I think oftentimes it's easy for entities to operate in silos, or as you put it, reinvent the wheel. So the fact that that y'all intensely connect with these entities that are also connecting and all have been doing great work in the community, I think sets the community up well to thrive. And so, yeah, I appreciate all that. I have one question, and then I want anybody else that has questions to ask them. But, you've got a body of people here representing a civic association. Are there ways that we can come alongside what you are doing, support what you are doing?
Yes. There are two big ways, and I was glad you asked that. As I mentioned, we utilize a ton of volunteers. Obviously, our staff is small. We cannot get this done without volunteers. Would welcome anyone from New Visions who want to serve as a financial coach, who want to serve as a resume writer, which when I say resume writer, our members produce pieces of a resume. Some of us have a resume, already done that we just fine tune a little bit. Some do not have a resume, have never had a resume. And we have trainings. So to help you, get through all that. Financial coach, volunteer opportunities, resume writer, career coach, career connector. You all know employers, you all have connections with folks in the community and beyond. Any connections like that. So lots of volunteer opportunities for New Vision members to be involved and to help us. And then secondly, too, as a group overall, I would love for New Visions to be what we call a recommending partner, meaning when you all run into someone you think could benefit from ReWork, who's not, and we can talk more about that. We do have a little bit of criteria because we're not best suited to help somebody who is in crisis right now. If you're homeless or you have no income and no childcare and you are in a rough spot, we're not best suited to help you at that point. So I can make that, make the criteria of what constitutes someone who's really going to thrive with us. But I would love for New Visions to be a recommending partner as you know people and meet people, because we are focused right in East End. We don't go outside the East End. We'd love for you all to be able to recommend potential members to us and be a recommending partner. That would be huge. We want to be, we've been in the community obviously, but in the basement of St. Peter's, we were little, and COVID has been around for half of our existence too. Mm-hmm. But now that we have this wonderful space right there on the corner, we want to be a community member. We want to be a good, productive community member, and to make these connections and partnerships with you all is key. And to have you all as a recommending partner, I think would just be wonderful. Would just be and a huge asset to us.
Yeah. Any other questions y'all have for Deb?
No, I think it was a good, overview, and I will visit the website and start following you on Facebook.
And we need to get I'm old. We're not on Facebook yet. I'm working to get a younger person. And if you know of any you folks like to do this to help us on some social media, would be great. I was just talking with somebody yesterday. So we need, I'm not big on Instagram and stuff, but we probably need to be on Instagram a little bit. We need to have a Facebook page. But we've got a brochure. We just are printing right now our first annual report. We do have data. Doing what we say we're doing is really important to us, and being transparent about it is really important to us. We want to be able to measure our success and measure what our members are doing. I think that's hugely important. And we do have a tool that we do that and collect data. So we're putting out our first annual report as at the printer right now. So again, feel free to stop by. We've got brochures, we've got information, but we'd love to talk further, when it's more appropriate to get into the weeds. It's a robust program and a lot goes on. Yeah. So happy to share more at a later time with anyone who's interested.
Sounds good. Last call for any questions. Awesome. Well, thank you, Deb. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the work y'all are doing. And especially, the fact that most of your existence has been during the pandemic, and yet you said 40 or so people y'all been able to walk alongside and do that long journey with. And so grateful for that. And you and I will stay connected, especially about the connecting partner thing. And but I want to just encourage everyone, like she said, check out the website, find a time to stop by and see what they're doing. It's a beautiful space. The building, when Richmond Cycle Corps came in, they did a lot of hard work to get that building from what it was to what it is, and ReWork Richmond is continuing to keep it looking beautiful on Fairmount there. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm going to hop off, but thank you so much. Y'all have a great rest of the weekend, and I look forward to meeting you all in person.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
deal.
All right, take care.
You too.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
So a few other things that I wanted to talk about, and then I wanted to open up the floor to anyone that had things they wanted to share. So one, for anybody that came on the call before I started recording, Frida and I were talking about Carrington Street. So quick update there is, if you remember from past meetings, Cynthia Newbill has been looking into the issue of the street being too narrow to be both two-way driving and parking on both sides. And so in talking to community members and even with New Visions and things that, studies that have happened with VC around Carrington Street, the broad consensus is, one, it's hard when you lose either of those things, either parking or two-way driving, but considering the significant growth in homes in the community, the higher need is going to end up being parking. And so the decision was made to make Carrington one way to mirror essentially what another street a few streets down was doing. There's a one-way street. I can't remember which street it is. Burton, thank you. I was like, I'm looking at you on my screen, Sunny, because I was like, Sunny, oh no. And so Frida let me know that they've actually officially put signage up along Carrington Street. So Carrington is now one way heading east towards 25th. And so the good news is, I mean, of course, there's going to take some getting adjusted. There's been plenty of times where I've gone down Carrington heading west that I'm going to have to readjust. But the good news is there's enough grid work street there that we can find a way. But the hope will be, personally, I'm glad that we're not losing parking, because we've got 2200 Carrington eventually coming about. That's going to have, 9 units or so, and a commercial space. So right there at that intersection is going to be a lot of parking needs. And then a number of homes are going up. Cybert's got some things going on. I forgot who it was, but there's another developer that's right there at Better Housing Coalition, the corner there. I've seen signage there. So it's going to be a lot of homes along Carrington. And so parking is going to be a huge need. So yeah, that's in the works. That's happening. Signs are up. Another thing that we're keeping an eye on, and Sunny let me know about this, is if you've noticed around the East End, there's been a number of paving projects that kind of just, you'll be driving somewhere and suddenly every street is blocked off. I was trying to go south and I could not find a way because there were cones on like every cross street. So I think when I looked at the sheet, Sunny, it looked like it said 2023 for our area maybe. But either way, at some point, they're going to be doing basically taking off the top layer of asphalt, putting a new layer on top. And one thing that we're going to push to make sure is where they've already paved Carrington in a number of sections, but kept the cobblestone intersections. And so we're going to work to ensure that when they're doing the north-south streets, that they don't then accidentally or intentionally pave over those cobblestone intersections. And so that's in the works as well. The other thing I want to bring up is, so I've got the Constitution and bylaws of the New Vision Civic League of East End. So some of y'all have been around long enough to know about these, know these exist. New Visions has been around since 1994, 1993, 1994. 94 is when the first bylaws were approved and adopted. And then they were revised again in 2011, and then revised again in 2016. And then we had change in officers, we had pandemic. So a lot's happened. So we're at a place where after we're looking at 6 years since almost 6 years since the last time this was looked at and worked on. The officers and I have talked about taking a look at it, seeing what we're thinking. And what we want to do is take a first glance through it and then bring it to the full body, get some thoughts, because we want to make sure that New Visions is positioned well to thrive, but also that it is positioning the community well to thrive. A lot of work's been put into this, so there might not need to be a whole lot that needs to be changed in it. But that's one thing that we're going to be working on. So just keep an eye out on that. And if you have questions or comments, anything like that, let me know. Because yeah, this is our New Visions. There's some other things within that we'll be talking about as we go through the year, including New Visions historically has had member dues. And there's a lot of reasons for that, because New Visions doesn't make money in and of itself, but there are a lot of opportunities where if New Visions had resources, it could really benefit the community from, there's this issue in the community that the city won't take care of, but we need to take care of it. We've got some funds. Let's put it towards that. Two, a New Visions member just lost a family member or is sick, and we're able to send something in remembrance of that situation. So I intentionally have not pushed anything with dues the last couple years because of the pandemic, and we've actually been not pushing it hard for the last several years for a number of reasons. But we're looking into what that needs to look like, because we don't want this to be something that is restrictive for anyone that might have limited funds. We don't want it to be a barrier to someone who's like, I want to participate in New Visions, but what? I have to pay money. Like, we want to find a way for this to be meaningful. And so to be involved with New Visions, you won't be required necessarily to pay dues, but there may be elements like to be able to vote, for example. Due paying members might have that kind of thing. So we're talking through those things to figure out what that needs to look like. But I do think on a bigger level, investing in an entity like New Visions, I think, is good for our community to do, because New Visions is primed to be able to step into places that the city might not be able to because of all the red tape or the long processes, and others might not be able to do because they're not as interested in this geographic area or in those specific issues. We're able to hit some spots that might get missed. So that's a conversation down the road. There aren't any formal decisions made on that, but we do know it's important and want to navigate that. And then the last thing I wanted to say before opening the floor is we are getting to a place where being in person is more feasible. Cases have increased in our area. Richmond is now in the space where it's highly encouraged that you wear masks indoors. But we're also in the summer. So if it's not too hot of a day, something outdoors is feasible. So one thing I'm looking at, the officers and I are looking at, is the potential of doing just a low-key cookout. We don't have to do a big old block party blocking off the streets, but just something where if somebody wants to be able to come out and actually not talk through a screen, we can see each other. We can have the ability to have some distance as needed. We can eat some hot dogs, hamburgers, whatever. So I'm going to keep y'all updated on that. I'm loosely thinking about potentially doing that in July, maybe even in our yard, our big yard here, right at 20th and R. We've got ample space for something like that. So keep your ears open for that. All right. I've dropped some things out there. We've got a body of people here. Are there other things that anybody feels need to be put on the table, need to be talked about, or just want to share?
Paul, do you know if they're working on 25th Street, all the crime and drug activity?
It's a good question. So there are a number of things happening. How big and how effective they are is hard to tell sometimes. But the one thing I know that was happening a year ago is the Cynthia Newbill's 25th Street Safety Partnership. So an update on that is there's a number of things that entity was aiming to do, including connecting and collaboration, find out who is engaged in the area, and try to put those pieces together. And I feel like there's still a lot of opportunity there. And personally, I've been trying to push for that to get more intentionally around that, because there are a lot of just like we heard from Deb, there are a lot of entities that are directly serving this area that is meaningful to that specific corridor. But the other big thing that they were doing is they wanted to get community feedback, particularly from those who spend the most time on 25th Street and those that live in the direct area. And so over the course of several months, there were a number of times where groups went out and did surveys. There was online surveys that went out that collected a lot of that. And then there's actually an entity at VCU, I think it's VCU, or Bon Secours, VCU, one of the two, some entity that they actually, this is what they do, is they know how to do this kind of research, know how to create a survey that's effective, know how to implement it, how to create the teams, and then how to digest that data and make it usable. And so at the start of this year, they delivered the results of that data. And I have to apologize. I looked through it a couple months ago, and now I can't remember enough of the details to be able to share you those results. But I'll see if I can actually, I was trying to find out if I can share that information, and I don't know if I can yet. I might have actually shared it, some of it loosely in a previous meeting, so you can go back and look at that. But that committee is still intending to continue to meet, but due to a number of factors, those meetings have often been canceled, and I've had to miss a couple of them because of sick family members. And so are there still things happening? Yes. Are they moving as fast necessarily as we might want? I think we want everything to get better really quickly, and I think there's a lot of work still before that happens. But the idea is to continue to build up partnerships and connections, to continue to build up awareness, but also to do a better job of communicating and implementing resources. So whether that's small things like getting informational pamphlets in the hands of folks who need it, to big things like for those that like to spend time on 25th, what could it look like to create a more intentional park space, right? So it's folks don't have to bring their own chairs, but they can feel like, yep, this is a community park. This is where we can connect with our neighbors. And outside that, there's also, I shared this in a recent meeting, and I'm trying to get him in. There's a number of things that are happening around, particularly gun violence. But one of them was the city has hired a community safety coordinator. His name is, I think, Samuel Brown Sr. And eventually he'll join one of these New Visions meetings. We've had some conflicts as we've been trying to work it out. But the city has laid out I think it's a 5-phase plan for addressing gun violence. And so that's another piece of that puzzle of navigating that. So some things are happening. There's a lot more that could be happening, but sometimes it can be hard to figure out what that is and who's going to do it and how they're going to do it and how it's going to be paid for. But on our end, as neighbors, we're like, yeah, but it still needs to happen. So let's do it. That's a good question. Any follow up to that from anyone, or something separate? Awesome.
I have something. I have two things. Well, no, I don't. Never mind. Go ahead, somebody else. I changed my mind.
You got me all excited now to find out what the two things are.
Well, one of the things, the property owner next door, it's a roommate situation, but the grass is above, the weeds are above the banister on the front porch.
Oh, wow.
On the backyard, I don't even know what it looks like because it has a fence around it. So I reached out to him and his wife, and so in Messenger. And so he thanked me for letting him know and suggested that I may want to speak to my neighbors about cutting the tall grass because my opinion may carry more weight. And I was like, seriously, dude? So I said, no, you need to speak to your property manager. Mm-hmm. So it's young people over there. One of them just recently moved out. I think all of them are supposed to be moving out. But the feedback I've gotten from the previous tenant, these tenants, is that they've been non-responsive as far as doing maintenance repairs. The storm door blew off and was hanging off the hinges for about 2 months. his fix was to have somebody come over, take it off, lay it up on the porch, and then the door jamb is rotten. So and then the sad news is that he's getting ready to build some more apartments according to Richmond Sense in the area.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was hesitant to complain to the city because if the city comes out and cuts the grass, they're going to fine him and he's going to pass the cost on to the tenants.
Hmm.
But it's ridiculous. I posted a picture. It's public on my Facebook page, and most of the property that he has around and on my block, he doesn't do a good job of maintaining it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I appreciate your awareness of the risk of the cost being passed down, because that's a hard thing. It's like when there is no
and I
bite.
like, they're young people, they got their heads in the clouds, a whole lot of other places. But what I had to do, he was out there on the serious. I said, what y'all gonna do about the grass? He was like, I don't have a lawnmower. And the other one who's moving, he said, I'm busy. I hadn't even thought about it. I don't know how you can not think about it when the weeds are growing up over the porch.
Right.
But that's not a priority for. I think what has happened is because he hasn't done what he's supposed to do as far as maintaining the property. They've taken a I don't care attitude, and and so yeah. But the thing is, I don't know if he has property manager, but he does not check on his property, and it should not be my job to contact him. And it's been like this for over a month. I've waited as long as I can. My yard looks nice. Their yard looks crap. Other people on the block and across the street, they don't like it either. They walk past. And but the city did drive through here yesterday morning. Somebody in the city. I don't know whether they were looking at his house or the house next door that's been being renovated for the last 6 months, and there's no permit in sight.
Here's the image of it. So
yeah, that's it.
You're not joking. That's
no.
a pretty hefty amount of weeds growing up, and the weeds are growing up really fast, but that doesn't change the fact that there is a responsibility. And I don't know enough about landlord tenant laws to know what protections are in place for the tenant against something like the cost being passed down.
Well, typically he has it in the lease that they're responsible for doing the yard work. I did recommend the guy who cuts I don't own a lawnmower either, but my grass is cut on a regular basis. But I think this guy charged a fair price, but he was looking for somebody in the neighborhood who we could give maybe $10 or $15 to, and cut the grass. And I'm done with him. I've lost patience with him. I didn't include his name. But because I said I'm not gonna go there. But sometimes people need to be shamed. You shouldn't have to be shamed into maintaining your own property.
Well, and you mentioned too that the bigger picture too of it's not just one property, but potential multiple ones. And so whatever caliber is set, whatever there's a word I'm looking for, whatever standard is set in one. For our community, we want to make sure that landlords are building and maintaining and so forth
you did talking about building houses starting at over $500,000, but you got this place looking like it's an abandoned building, vacant.
Is it the same owner that owns the house at the corner?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, if I think of anything, or if anybody thinks of anything, let's connect and connect with Frida and see what we can do.
I think there needs to be more of a letting him know that we don't appreciate this. We've had conversations with him in the beginning when he wanted to build, and he felt like people were against him. And this is the very example of what we were talking about was going to happen. I know everybody can't afford to buy. Heck, people now can't even hardly afford to rent. But if you're going to manage your property, manage your property. I'm retired and I get my grass cut. He's got multiple streams of income coming in. It makes no sense. And that's all I'm going to say, because if I say anything else, I might Have to go bleep, bleep, bleep.
Well, thank you for sharing and for keeping an eye out on your block. Anyone else have anything they feel like needs to be shared for the body of New Visions? Awesome. Well, if not, well, we're ending a little shorter since we didn't get to have Miss Thompson, but definitely if you're one who prays, keep her in your prayers. Feel free to reach out and let her know you're thinking of her. I'll keep you all updated if there's anything functionally, if she needs help with anything, as she recuperates, I'll make sure to get word out for that. But like I said, so the things to just keep an eye out on, one, potentially our next meeting being in person, low key cookout. Obviously, if it's a cookout, it won't be in the morning, but it might still be that Saturday. I'm going to figure those things out. Keep an eye out for more on the bylaws. And the last thing is, there's still many ways to serve within New Visions, both in really functional formal ways, like an officer, where you're committing more formal time to a certain area, to very informal ways. Small things that could end up being just an hour of your time in a year or in a month or in a week. And so think about the ways that you are gifted or passionate or just like really want to see things happen. And let's talk. In each of the emails, there is a link to a form where you can actually share those thoughts, but you could also just reach out to me. But my hope is that we'll collectively have a number of people who are functioning in a formal, reliable way so that we know, yep, someone's going to be taking care of this, someone's going to be taking care of this, for the big things, but then have a number of ways that people can serve informally, organically as they're able, but it still contributes to our ability to be neighbors helping neighbors, our ability to help neighbors thrive. And so, yeah, reach out if you have those. And I think someone was asking about which hospital Miss Thompson's in. Let me double check that because that's good for anybody who wants to. So she is currently at Community Hospital in room 207. So if you're happening around there, if you wanted to visit, that's how you can reach her. Like I said, I think it's just going to be a few more days that she'll be there as they do some tests, and then she'll be back home. And and we can just check in on her, make sure she's doing well. Oh, I'll say this too, and I said this in the email. It's getting hot out there, so just keep that in mind for neighbors who may be struggling with their power bills, or neighbors who don't have reliable shelter. Think about it in terms of, having bottles of water on hand or things like that. But this is the time of year where the heat can really hurt someone. And so just be looking out for your neighbors. I included in the last email a number of links to things where if somebody is struggling with keeping their AC running, everything from getting help with paying bills to getting free AC units. There are resources out there. So if anybody's in that situation, make sure that they know about those links, walk them through it if they need help. And then again, a number of our neighbors have limited access to shelter and limited access as a result to water. So that's just an easy way if you want to serve your neighbors, just have some bottles of water on hand that if you see someone is dehydrated, be like, hey, you want some water? All right. Well, with that, thank you everybody for joining. I appreciated seeing and also having some folks on the phone.
One question, Paul.
Yeah.
I just meant to ask you about your new neighbors across the street from you.
Yeah.
What was that?
So maybe you can see out there. It's too bright out there. You can't see it. So then that big bright void. We have 4 of the 5 houses now have neighbors in them. There was a open house celebration thing that Cynthia Newbill came to and a few others in the 5th house. I don't even know if that was how long that was even on the market. But that is currently under contract. We got one of the neighbors. You want to say anything?
Yeah. Everybody.
Hey, that's a new neighbor.
That's a
I'm
new
one of the
neighbor.
new neighbors. Yep. I'm at 2005 R Street, right across from Paul. I can literally see him through through my window. We're waving at each other right now.
Hey.
Yeah. So I just came to Richmond. I attended VCU back in 2004, 2005, and then I left. I've been living in Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C. But my brother happened to marry his wife, who's from Richmond. So he's been living in the area for roughly the last 7 or 8 years. And my job recently went remote. So I decided, hey, why not move back to Richmond? It's a great city. I really enjoy it. And found this house in Fairmont and moved in at the end of April. So happy to be here. And Paul's got me connected with this group, and yeah, I'm really excited to be part of it and help out in any way that I can. So the meeting today has been great, very informative. So I really appreciate everything that's been said and everything that I've learned today. So
yeah, I'm glad you joined. I was happy when I saw your name pop up. I know his neighbors, the Smiths, also hope to join. I think they're out they're often out of town on the weekends because they got a lot of things going on, but they want to start and join. And one thing I want to say about Chris and the Smiths, and particularly, is I really appreciated it can be easy when somebody moves in to not connect with the neighborhood. Chris and the Smiths have done a really great job of connecting with the neighborhood. They're on their porches often, getting to know neighbors, looking out for neighbors. And so I just wanted to affirm that, because that's the kind of thing, those are values that are baked into new visions of being present and accessible to neighbors and connecting with them and looking out for each other. And so when I've seen them doing that, I'm like, yes, this is great. I love that. So we also have a neighbor who is works for and serves with a organization not in the East End, but in Richmond, that works hard to really support and care for the neighborhood. And so it's good things. So waiting to see who our last neighbor is, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. So,
yep.
So yeah, thanks for asking, Rita. All right. Well, with that said,
I sent you a message, Paul.
you sent me. Wait, did you send me another one? Okay. Yeah, I can fill you in on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Last chance. So we've had some chime-ins. Someone else, if you have one more thing, I'm about to shut it down. All right, cool. Well, thank you all so much for joining. I will post this onto YouTube so that if anybody wants
The
to follow
actual
up.
Zoom goes on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna start cutting my video off then. Gee.
I've been doing this for a while, Frida. Yeah.
I need to improve on my listening skills. I told you that I missed that one.
You look fine. There's never been anything that I've seen like, oh no, Frida, people. No, you've been good.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you know anybody though that couldn't make it but is wanting to be involved, that's one way they can keep connected. And really, it's only the people that want to connect with New Visions that find these videos anyway. So you're all right, Frida. All right. Well, hey, y'all have a great weekend. And yeah, and then Sonny, if you've got time, I gotta fill you in on something, a few things.
Okay.
So if you got time after, we can hang here or we can connect later. But I'm gonna stop the recording. Anybody that's got to go, you can go. Happy summer.
Okay, y'all have a good weekend.
Bye,
I'll
everybody.
do the same.
Bye.
Have a good Saturday, everyone.
You too.
Oh, there we go. Stop.